Rainbow's End. No, there aren't any leprechauns. Today we're looking at the intense, high-stakes, intrigue-filled world of horse racing. David finds himself sort of backing into it.
Rainbow's End took another step toward regaining his championship form yesterday with a victory in the Southwest Stakes at Farrington Park. Thomas Logan, Rainbow's assistant trainer, is said to have developed a tonic that evens out the horse's unpredictable temperament. The concoction, just recently sanctioned by the Racing Commission, is described by Logan as a natural nutritional supplement and not a drug.
3 weeks ago, the horse was uncontrollable and prone to major tantrums. He was declared the meanest horse on the track because he kept throwing jockeys. But in this race, he was in perfect form and looks a lot like Kentucky Derby material. You have David's attention.
Andy Cardone, the jockey who was to ride Rainbow and is now doubtful run for the Roses, feels the brew has had a tremendous calming effect on Rainbow's End. He's like a different horse since the treatments, according to Cardone. And he's sure enough to ride Rainbow in the San Remo Stakes later this week.
Now you really have his attention. He's off to that racetrack to meet this Logan guy. Incidentally, by 1978, the National Register was the only newspaper left in the world.
That Thomas Logan sounds to me like one crazy Indian.
I don't know, he seems to be onto something.
With that homebrew stuff? No way. A mean horse is a mean horse. A bunch of herbs and roots aren't gonna calm him down just like that.
Well, it seems to have worked for Rainbow's End. According to these articles, his temper's under control again, and the San Remo Stakes should put him back on the track, so to speak.
We're still discovering how useful many herbs and such are for medicinal purposes. I'm not sure why it's such a surprise. Aspirin is made from a tree, and we've used it for over a century. I grew up with it.
It's probably firewater, served in his own private barn.
Actually, it looks like he's been able to duplicate benzodiazepine.
Huh?
Tranquilizer.
Benzodiazepines are thoroughly artificial, cooked up in the lab by combining chemicals I can't pronounce with other chemicals I can't pronounce. If he's found a way to create those compounds with natural ingredients, I'm not sure what to think. They have their uses, but when they first appeared in the 50s, benzodiazepines essentially put an entire generation to sleep for several years. The next question: if that's basically what he wound up with, why are the track officials not calling it a drug? If it's the same chemical structure, shouldn't it be banned? David doesn't care about any of that.
Beautiful horse, in spite of the sickle hocks.
Ever see Kelso's rear legs? And he was horse of the year 5 times in a row.
I always thought that Kelso had perfect conformation.
They all look perfect in the winner's circle. That's Rainbow's End.
Already looks like a champion. From what I hear, you've worked miracles with him.
Are you a reporter?
No.
He tends to avoid reporters, but you don't need to know that right now. He's hoping to have a talk with Mr. Logan, but it may need to wait.
Kim, be careful. Kim, watch out. Get away from that horse. Kim, get out of there.
Ho, ho. Easy, boy. Easy. Ho, ho. Easy. Settle down. Settle down. Easy. Whoa, whoa.
Thanks to David, everybody's calm again. Well, almost everybody.
Are you all right?
Oh, yes, I'm fine.
What are you trying to prove jumping in front of a spooked horse like that?
Come on, Dad. You would have done the same thing. Just because it's me, you always assume...
Speaking as a man with daughters, I get where he's coming from. I don't agree with it. He needs to cut the cord and let her find her own way, but I do understand him.
What happened, Andy?
I don't know. He just spooked.
It could start swelling. You might want to use some compresses.
Thanks, Doc.
Just trying to help.
I know. It's just that my father would love to find a reason to keep me from racing.
Looking at her rather brief filmography, this is probably the only time we'll see Michelle Nichols. She drops off the record a couple of years after this, and there is no information to be had.
You go see the track doctor.
I'm Kim.
I'm David.
And he's okay. He had quite a jolt, though. How about you two?
Just fine. We're just a little dusty.
Good.
This is my father, Jimmy Kelly, and Lawrence Henry Carroll III.
Kim.
David.
Larry Carroll. The third looks good on the racing form, but it's a mouthful.
Why are they always snobby, snooty, puffed up the third? We never hear about the second or the fourth or the 149th. Why is that? I often say I can only count to one, but it makes me wonder if TV writers can only count to three.
Do you have a last name, David?
Bishop, David Bishop.
That was pretty fancy footwork just now. I don't mind telling you what I go through when I think of that horse getting hurt.
I hope he's all right.
Logan will look after Rainbow. I wish you'd learn to keep out of the way.
I have just as much right as any jockey
now
here.
Take it easy, Jimmy, both of you. It wasn't Kim's fault.
Listen, I got work to do.
Jimmy seems to have a bit of attitude. Larry wants to show his appreciation. David says, I could use a job. Done. He'll have Kim take David around and show him the ropes. Literally. You use a lot of ropes for horse stuff.
How is he? Maybe the B complex is too strong.
No, nobody does a big complex to calm him down.
Well, I haven't seen Rainbow that upset since we started the treatments.
I don't know. You better get going. You got a race to run.
Jeez, I'm late.
Good luck.
Thanks.
She rides whether her dad likes it or not. I like this kid.
Mr. Carroll hired your friend here. We'll finish the tour after the race, okay?
Friend, huh?
Well, I guess a lot of people assumed that we were. I'm David Bishop.
And speaking of copping attitudes, what's up his bunghole?
Look, I really need this job. Can you let me just try it for a couple of days? How much harm could I cause just shoveling hay?
Take off the cooler. If you're going to spend some time around Rainbow, he'll have to get used to the smell of you.
Vice versa.
Nice comeback, David, and very true. Logan isn't upset with him. He's upset in general. His creation was working. He can't understand why suddenly it didn't. But David just found the answer.
Is this Rainbow's girth? Mr. Logan, do you use some kind of special saddle soap on this or polish?
Sure I do. There's stuff in that can right there.
Boy, it's ethanoic acid. It's on the girth, too.
No, it's a special oil. It's not acid.
Friction created by the rider. And the body heat of the horse underneath that saddle would activate the acid, and within a matter of minutes, the pain would be unbearable for the horse.
Acid?
That's the problem.
How did acid get substituted for saddle soap? It amazes me that they're not asking. But it's unusual enough that Logan thinks Mr. Carroll should know.
Carroll's not going to hear about it.
What?
There's no sense bothering him about a bad can of saddle oil. He can still race, can't he?
The boss should be told.
I don't want to take a lot of flack over somebody else's stupid accident.
Whose mistake would that be, Jimmy? It's a pretty glaring one, so please enlighten us.
But it's sure to set back his progress.
Look, if it's going to make you feel a lot better, why don't you take him on back to the farm tonight yourself? Then you can keep your eye on him. He'll be safe and sound. And you won't have to worry Mr. Carroll about it. Nothing can happen to him there. Right?
The gentleman doth protest too much, methinks. I suspect we already know who put the acid in that can. The only question is why. But today, David has other questions for Mr. Logan.
Logan, you ever considered using your compound on a human subject? You could try it on me.
Why?
I have an illness which is not unlike hyperactivity followed by blackouts.
That's a delicate and surprisingly accurate description. I wonder how long he worked on it.
Well, see a doctor.
They can't help me.
Look, in case you haven't noticed, you're not a horse.
If it'll change your mind, he'll pretend to be one. He'll even willingly be the back end of the costume.
My dad's other child.
Oh, well, I'm very impressed. What is it?
It's an electronic timer. It's the most accurate ever made for horse racing.
Yeah, then I really am impressed. But it looks more like a radar scanner.
There's a signal wire that fits in the starting gate. It's triggered when the gate opens. Then the antenna picks up the signal in sound waves until the horses cross the finish line. Each horse registers on this readout.
I don't know if radar has ever been used for this, but somebody obviously foresaw the use of precision lasers and other technology that came along.
I never heard of it.
It's an experimental model. Once it's perfected, it's going to be in every racetrack in the country.
Well, then I would say that your father has a profitable retirement ahead of him.
Hardly. He sold the patent to Carol before anybody realized how much it was worth.
I have a provisional U.S. patent. I developed a rather unique way of handling scuba gear. I would love to sell that to someone because I don't have the money, the resources, or the time to get into manufacturing and promoting it. Scuba diving is a niche market, so it's not a world changer like this thing, but somebody could make some money from it, just not me.
Even though they made the deal fair and square, my dad wants the patent back. My father's been really upset about it ever since.
I think we're starting to get our answer to why Jimmy would sabotage the horse. Kim convinces David to come to a party at Mr. Carroll's house the following evening. She's obviously crushing on him, which is a thing girls do around David.
Well, Andy, you ready for the big race tomorrow?
Yeah, sure.
You all right?
Yeah,
You sure?
just a little warm.
There you are. How you doing? You having a good time?
You bet. Excuse me.
She starts teasing David about leaving her all by her lonesome. He knows it's just light-hearted ribbing, but he's still not sure what to say. Good thing he doesn't have to.
Now, Kelly, we've been through this a dozen times. I've told you I don't want to discuss it anymore.
You don't listen.
No, Kelly. Besides, I've got guests.
Oh, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. Do you really think I'm just gonna stand by and watch you make millions from my invention?
Kelly, you've had too much to drink.
You sold it, Jimmy. That means you surrendered ownership of it in exchange for American legal tender. It's not yours anymore. He seems to think because he didn't foresee what a market there would be for it, the deal should be null and void. Or to put it another way, tear up the deal and give it back because he didn't do his homework. Need I mention that it doesn't work that way? He's going to do something stupid, isn't he?
Kim, I'm sorry.
It's not your fault.
Are you going after him?
Okay, everybody. Let's get back to the party.
He doesn't listen to me anymore.
It's all right.
I hope he can get home okay.
I'll see that he does.
I had no idea. How stupid. The horses didn't do anything. Why punish them? The people up at the house haven't noticed the fire yet, and in the time it would take David to run back and raise the alarm, it'd be too late for the horses. There's only one thing to do. Run in and get the animals out himself. Within less than a minute, he has them all out except Rainbow. For those who aren't familiar, Rainbow and the other horses are wearing what's called a halter. It fits over the head, but it doesn't have a bit that goes in the horse's mouth. As we saw, there's a spot under here where you can clip a lead rope. Most of the time, it's enough to give you control over the horse, but not always. I worked the summer of 1978 at a Christian youth camp in northeastern Montana. We had a line of trail horses for the kids to ride during the day, and in the evening, occasionally some of us would sneak down to the corral, hook up a lead rope so it acted like a set of reins, and ride the horses bareback around the corral. This particular evening, I was on one of the biggest horses named Stitches. Stitches didn't want to be ridden that night, and before I knew it, he took me under a low tree limb that swept me right off his back and onto mine. A bridle with a bit might have prevented that, but you know what we always say about hindsight. When Stitches got done with me, my hind had had enough sight for one night. Back at the barn, Rainbow's End is freaked out enough that he's refusing to follow David out of the fire. Oddly enough, this is exactly what he needs. Let's see Rainbow argue with that. You know the best part about that? Nobody saw him. When they find that broken wall, if the fire doesn't destroy it, they'll assume the horse did it with his hooves. The Hulk leads the horse into the woods where he changes back to David while the others are battling the fire. Why do I get the impression he's not going to blow the whistle?
Logan, I have to get out of here.
You should have told me.
If I told you, you wouldn't have believed me.
Seeing is believing. You possess a powerful force.
No, it possesses me. And I can't control it. It even happens in my sleep.
We'll begin the treatments today.
David's excited about that, but being the Hulk isn't why he has to get out of here. Logan had just gotten off the phone with Jack McGee, who's in his face about his formula. Logan has refused to talk to him twice, but Jack's knowledge of the English language is sorely lacking when it comes to the word no.
You know, most people would have been frightened by what you saw last night.
My grandfather's tribe would have treated you like a god. If you could control it, you'd have a great power.
I don't want that kind of power.
Well, you're stuck with it till Kelly gets here to keep an eye on Rainbow.
I'm not so sure that Kelly's going to show up. I saw him running from the stables last night just before the fire.
Did he start the fire?
Oops. She runs to the trailer to talk to her dad, but he's catatonic. He may not even remember she was there. The process of mixing up, boiling up, serving up, and drinking up Logan's medication takes a good bit of time, maybe a tad too much, but that's a viewer judgment call. That night, David is dreaming about the wonderful life he had with Carolyn. And just like his dreams of Laura last season, the dream morphs into a nightmare as he watches the woman he loves die in indescribable pain. to become Logan's indentured servant if that's what it takes to get him to keep making that stuff, David. He can't believe he's still David.
This was Rainbow's End just 3 weeks ago with a victory in the Southwest Stakes at Farrington Park. Thomas Logan, Rainbow's assistant trainer and the man credited with putting this amazing horse back on the road to the Kentucky Derby, appeared confident that his colt is well on the way to victory in tomorrow's race.
Maybe he should keep the hook in his back pocket for now, just in case, because Jimmy is far from done being stupid.
Now remember, Andy, you're the boss, and it's your race. Remember to give him his hat.
Good luck, Andy.
The mile-long run is 3 p.m.
I'm okay.
Your vision blurred? All right, come on, now sit down. You never saw the doctor after your fall, did you? He probably shouldn't be walking, much less riding.
Andy, are you sure you're all right?
I can do it.
That was convincing. He's not even sure where Mr. Carroll is.
He could be killed. He may have sustained a concussion.
Kim, you've got 10 minutes to get into your silks.
We've been watching Jimmy make his way up to the grandstand roof with a long duffel bag-like thing. He's a fixture around here, so nobody thinks anything about it. Unfortunately, he'll be inside a stairwell when the jockey change is announced. He still thinks that's Andy. While all that is setting up, Jack McGee has taken a seat in the stands. David is down trackside operating the timing machine. He's been checking on that antenna thing that they said is mounted under the grandstand roof.
2 minutes to post time. The horses are at the gate.
He has to get to somebody he can notify through that.
Rainbow's in on the rails, fourth by a hint. High collateral, moving up his fifth. Now Black Tower, tainted down, and Flying Dopey.
Now he'll get through. Should have given him another dose this morning, Logan. Although, as it turns out, it's probably a good thing you didn't.
Rainbow's in fourth. High collateral is fifth. And Black Tower, tainted down, and Flying Dopey.
It's all right, officer. He's wearing a pass.
Drawing away by a neck. Tachara is second. Larry Secret third. And Paris. That's all for Tachara and Larry Secret. Rainbow's in front, drawing out. Rainbow's End is the winner by 2 lengths. Tachara second on the outside by a length. Larry Secret third by a length and a half in front of Paris, who finished fourth.
Rainbow's End.
That was a mistake. It's the evidence he would need to prove he's not just attacking Jimmy because he's there. But when that guard reaches the roof, that's what it's going to look like. The Hulk makes his getaway, Jack McGee gets to chalk up another near miss, and Kim wins the race on Rainbow's End with a new track record.
I thought I'd take one last look around.
If you stayed, we could change the dosage. Maybe increase the B complex.
Yeah, that could take weeks, and with McGee around every corner, I really can't afford to take a chance.
David, my grandfather taught me that eventually, all things do pass.
Thank you.
David needs to grow a beard and dreadlocks. Then he wouldn't have to dodge Jack all the time. If he reeked of ganja and listened to Bob Marley all the time, it'd be even more convincing.
Well, it looks like that ought to be goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was looking for you.
I was talking with the police. Mr. Carroll's gonna help me take care of Dad.
How subtle is that? From that one sentence, we glean that when Jimmy realized he could have killed his own daughter, he confessed and is getting treatment. Amazing writing.
I have it on very good authority that these things pass.
We missed you in the winner's circle.
Rather difficult to get through the crowd, but there'll be a lot of winner circles.
Well, I'll be looking for you in every one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And it's another near miss for David as well, thanks to Jack. But that one good night's sleep told him there's hope. A treatment is out there. He'll keep searching for it, but in the meantime, once again, he left somebody better than he found them, Jimmy. Envy was eating him alive. All he could see was the money. His plan was to shoot the horse right at the finish line. At that speed, the fall had a high likelihood of killing the jockey, too. The Hulk stopped him, and he heard his daughter's name over the PA. We saw in his face that he suddenly realized what he almost did. Gene Evans turned in a stellar performance. You wanted to grab him by the mustache and slap some sense into him, which metaphorically is what the Hulk did. Mr. Evans was well known for playing tough guys in westerns, among other things, and he was convincing here. Everybody was. I enjoyed Ned Romero as Logan, too, especially when he delivered lines like this.
Those are famous herbs I've heard so much about?
You sure you're not a reporter?
Honest.
Say honest Indian and I'll deck you.
We continue to have excellent performances and good, fleshed-out stories. We've established a two-Hulk pattern, but none of them is shoehorned. They flow naturally out of the story. I remember liking this show a lot, but time sort of dulled the reasons why. I hope you're having as much fun as I am rediscovering them. Was working. He and called a halter. Come on. Halter, not a halter. And slap some sense to him. Sense into him. Come on, David!